Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, NFL news including key acquisitions and clearance sales, as well as a look at some teams dominating the first 7 weeks of the season. NBA news including the brawl for it all, CP3 versus Rondo, and so much more starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, we're back. This is the Professor John Gotti, and welcome to another fine edition of the weekly episodic podcast of sports, Debate Amongst Friends. This is season 3, episode 12 on October 24th, 2018. We're 1 week away from Halloween, so make sure you got your costume ready. But along with that, being a data analyzing ninja, my name is the Professor John Gotti, and I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed podcast champ, Doc Lesnar! How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for that gracious opening and introduction. I am so ready to talk. There's so many interesting things, so many discussions, so many debates, so many analysts out there that are just so confused about
life,
really everything that's
the world,
everything that's going
facts.
on. Oh my God, everything. Not even just facts. I mean, you know how it is. You have to dig through, certain things that are happening. But I mean, there's so much happening right now.
There's a lot.
I don't even know. Now. I mean, I guess we should. I mean, should we start with the acquisitions or the dumpster sales? Like, I don't even know where to start.
I mean, can we be honest? Is it pretty much one and the same? Like, can we at least say that?
To an extent, yes. We have some. It's like we have topics, subtopics, and then it's like, what the heck? I don't even know where to categorize this.
WTF moments.
I don't want to get sued for copyright infringement, but
I mean, we're also talking about a company
moments.
that literally made it a career copying off a certain entertainment company of the world.
That's true too. That's true
whose
too.
fan bases are part of a particular universe.
Mm.
But let's talk about these acquisitions. Let's talk about these acquisitions from these dumpster fire teams.
So let's try something here. Let's go from worst trade decision to best trade decision. So there were 3 trades this week.
Mm-hmm.
What would you rank as the worst trade in this category?
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper? I will disagree with you.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why.
If you tell me it's Eli Apple, I'm turning off the show right now. I'm telling Chris right now that the show is canceled. Like, no.
I would lose all credibility if I said that. I think the Snacks Harrison trade, by far, by the Giants, was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. Snacks Harrison was the only, I would say, the only bright spot on the defense.
Yeah. Now that you have me think about it, I can see that too. I mean, I would just why the heck would they do that? Like, the reason I said Amari Cooper,
sure.
Beyond the logistical standpoint, is the fact that they already made an initial boneheaded move before the season.
So, I'll say this. I would have said Amari Cooper had Snacks Harrison not been traded for a 5th round pick.
I will agree with that.
Yes, if he wasn't traded for a fifth round pick, I would have said, you know what, Amari Cooper. I know they picked up Jordy Nelson in Oakland. I get it. Amari has been dropping some passes as per Jay Rich, because I don't really watch the Raiders. So, as per Jay Rich,
Wait, let's be honest. Who really watches the Raiders?
Jay Rich. that's probably it, and the rest of Raider Nation. But apparently, Amari Cooper dropped
That's
a lot
a real
of passes.
small. That's a real small fan base this year.
I'm not touching that one. The Professor John Gotti said that, not Dr. Wednesday night.
That came through the stream through Chris.
But yeah, I think that Amari Cooper. First of all, it's a really big win for the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
I know they really wanted to ride this small wide receiver lineup that they had.
Here's the problem, though. All that's well and good, but the fact that you don't have a number one, you don't have that Mr. Dependable guy, was going to be an issue throughout the season. We've said this before the season started. We said this after week 2. And we're still saying this until this trade.
But according to Jerry Jones, they haven't had a number one wide receiver in a long time.
Well, according to Jerry Jones, too, he feel like that his team's always a Super Bowl contender.
That's true, too. But I think the fan, that's not the businessman in him. That's the fan in him.
No, that divide has dissolved into one a long time ago. Because Jerry Jones give the Cowboys way too much hype.
Because as a fan, I think the Bucs are going to the playoffs every year, and I'm disappointed most years when they start losing. Because
playoff team and Super Bowl contenders, two totally different things right there.
You're right. My mistake. I don't know why he thinks first and foremost, we've already come to the conclusion. The Cowboys will never, and the doc means ever, go to the Super Bowl under Jason Garrett.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I will give them so much more hope and so much more promise. If they drop Jerry Jones, they drop Jerry Jones, that might skyrocket them as well.
Okay.
But if they drop Jason Garrett, they're going to at least start making the playoffs. And I feel the same way about the Bengals. They drop Marvin Lewis, they'll be better in the playoffs. It's just certain teams. It's just you're shaking. You shook me off of that one.
I'm just thinking about that Bengals game, or lack thereof.
Things happen.
No, that wasn't things happen. Like, you unplugged your controller and walked away. Like, this was, ran up 21 points before halftime, and you decided to keep on. Well, the person who you're playing against decided to keep on playing just to put salt in the wounds. That's what I saw with that game. But we'll get there. We will get there, ladies and gentlemen.
So the Eli Apple trade. First and foremost, I think he's probably going to play so much more better in New Orleans. I just feel like certain teams just have a better system, and I feel like he's going to be more successful. That's what I told my cousin. Listen, I know he stunk in New York, but he's going to go over there to New Orleans, and he's going to become a Pro Bowl player. I can feel it. Because you think about this, Prince Amukamara was terrible in New York. Hamstrings couldn't stay in place. I think I've seen used strings in a guitar shop that held up better than his hamstrings. But in this situation,
we're not talking about walking with Elias, friend.
No, I think the strings on his broken guitar are better than his hamstrings. I'm just saying. But
yes, after leaving New York, like, Amukamara is playing way better.
His hamstrings are great now. Like, he can actually run. He played full seasons, or at least closer to full seasons.
Yeah.
But I would say the Eli Apple trade, I would say that I was surprised that the Giants squeezed a 4th-round pick out of the Saints for him.
Yes.
And then foolishly traded Snacks for a 5th-round pick. So when I first heard the trades, I was like, okay, Eli Apple,
Mm-hmm.
4 and a 7. Snacks Harrison. I expected them to get a first-round pick, or at least a second-round pick for Snacks Harrison.
Yes.
I said maybe, and then I started thinking maybe they're bundling picks. They're bundling,
No.
home and auto. They're bundling home and
No.
auto. And
This
they were
is
gonna
not
go and make
Progressive.
a
This is not
deal.
Geico, and State Farm is not on their side.
I was going to say maybe they're bundling
No. Mm-mm.
to make a package for Patrick Peterson. But they didn't
why?
do that.
But
Well, with Patrick Peterson, it gives them because Janoris Jenkins so far has been a disappointment this season. Last season he was good, but this season he's been a disappointment. But it's possibly because of Eli Apple and that pass rush is just not where they are. Number one, they probably shouldn't have traded JPP.
yeah, that was the first
I think
issue.
Yeah,
And also let O.C. Uman walk too.
Right. OC been gone for a while, but they probably shouldn't have let him go either, even back then.
Okay.
Until they,
I got that he was exactly like I got that he was gone for a while, but like the defense was never the same.
Well, I think the Giants have an issue with paying older players. I think OC still can play though, and that's where it gets kind of tricky.
Yeah, he's still in Atlanta.
But Snacks he's young. He's like I said, one of the better interior defensive linemen. I'm sure Matt Patricia is super happy to get him for a 5th round pick.
Yep.
That's gonna be that's like the dumbest trade I can't even fathom why you would even do that.
Football wise, absolutely dumbest trade.
I'm sure Jerry Reese somewhere, the old GM of the Giants is just sitting back somewhere. He's just like, wow.
Like he over there pulling the Russell Westbrook face. What?
Yeah, I would have never made that deal. But I don't know. Looking over the trades, who do you think is moving in the right direction? You have the Oakland Raiders, you have the New York Giants. Obviously, everybody's for sale according to John Gruden. Who's what's the deal with these teams?
They all want draft picks.
I don't even know if this next draft is loaded like that.
Well, I would say Oakland's probably better off, and I saw this yesterday on NFL Live actually, where they said the reason why they're getting rid of all these high-priced players or players that may not fit Gruden's system is they want to draft young, and when they move to Vegas, they want it to be exciting with young pups instead of like the same old. Now, whether or not that's NFL wise, they're saying that he's an old man because he challenged the authority. Like, it's stupid, but I can see them actually doing something. Like, I don't know what the Giants are doing. What are they doing? I have no clue. Like, I don't see a business plan happening. Even the most intelligent insider with the NFL has no clue what they're actually trying to do. Like, the writing on the wall says, let's get rid of Eli. It's time to move on for Eli. But they're not going to do that. And it's baffling. And it drives pretty much everyone insane. Like, what are you doing? You still got Eli sitting there just getting sacked.
Right. At this point, you might as well.
Granted, he didn't pull a Marcus Mariota and got sacked 11 times, but he's been sacked a lot this season.
Yeah.
Not only that, he's throwing picks.
What they paid for Nate Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time that experiment should be over. I know we poked fun at the last tackle, but his footwork was really, really bad.
Yeah.
But Nate Solder is just getting beat senseless, really. He's getting beat senseless out there and I'm not taking anything away from the Atlanta pass rush, but they're missing several people on that defensive line, and I mean, he's just getting beat.
Well, and I mentioned this before, like, they expect him to basically play the same way he did when he played in New England. Like, you can't expect someone to be the exact same player they was in a different system. This is a totally different system he's playing in.
It really is.
Totally different system. Like, don't sit there
and ball out of his hand in 1.5 seconds.
Exactly. Like, come on. Come on. You put way too high expectations on him.
Way too much.
Like, it's like he took off a mask and was like, I was really Eric Flowers all along.
Eric Flowers all along. And you saw I posted that. Like, I think Eric Flowers is out there wearing a Nate Soldier jersey.
Like, I really want to do like the little hood gif, like Vince McMahon. He's like, it's me all along, Austin. Like, it's me all along, New York.
It's freaking Scooby-Doo out here. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, Giants. I mean, luckily, the only person I have on my fantasy team is Saquon Barkley. I mean, he gave me enough points to secure a victory, but it's like.
But he's the only bright spot for the Giants, though. Like, Odell Beckham Jr. probably should be traded.
Yeah, he probably should be.
Like, he could do better, somewhere else, because he's just gonna sit there and wilt away.
I think if I was Oakland, and this is legit, I would offer them Derek Carr for Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, they can try to find another quarterback in the draft. I mean, I think Odell and Jordy playing together would be pretty nice. They can go out there and make a trade. Derek Carr for Odell, and then make a trade with Tampa and send us any defensive back that they have for freaking Fitzpatrick, and then he can go out there and play. He can go out there and do his best Rich Gannon impersonation, because that's the way John Gruden likes it. Old. He likes the old players. He wants the old players. I mean, you think about it. I mean,
is that like a SOS cry from Tampa Bay, sir? I mean, am I hearing that all the way out there in Florida? I mean. Did it ping from the great state of North Carolina down to Florida out here to the big Dallas market over here? Like, is that what I'm hearing? Is that an SOS, sir?
No, I'm just saying. I mean, when you think about it, there's so many things that he can do. Like, I probably, if you're gonna trade everybody, I mean, trade Derek Carr, go see if they're willing to give up Odell. I highly doubt it. But
John Gruden likes Derek Carr, though. He's not gonna leave him. He's not going to get rid of Derek Carr.
I mean, it would be exciting to have Odell, but I don't think he would want to deal with Odell as a player. I mean, the headache factor. I mean, he didn't even want to deal with Khalil Mack, who's quiet and makes a lot of money. I don't think he wants to deal with Odell, who's loud and makes a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, I just don't understand. I'm just trying to figure out what they're doing. I mean, the Snacks Harrison thing really tore me up, only because of the 5th round pick. Like, I was sitting there like, I mean, if you guys are giving away people for 5th round picks, I mean, we'll take Landon Collins right now. You understand what I'm saying?
Don't you be surprised, big man. Don't you be surprised if the Giants next week trade off Landon Collins.
I'm just saying, if that's what they're doing, I mean, I want to be in this fire sale. You understand?
To the Carolina Panthers.
Jenkins, listen, well, they just picked up Eric Reed, which that's a whole other thing. Because I know he's been kind of upset with what's his name,
Malcolm Jenkins. Corner.
Yeah, like, and that's a whole other thing. But Eric Reed, I mean, very, very talented safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I don't think that the Panthers would trade for Landon Collins. But if the Bucks were going to trade for Landon Collins, I would be okay with it. Let's just put it like that. But I would say that I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure what the Giants or the Raiders are going to do.
Yes.
I mean, are there any other teams? I'm trying to think of the other teams that are playing that bad right now. To that level, like, I'm trying to think offhand what
I
team
mean,
is.
we could talk about the 1-6 club.
Well, I think there's only one other 1-6 team, and that's the quarterbackless San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, actually, no.
Well, really.
I was waiting. Yeah, okay. I was waiting for you to catch up. Don't worry, I got you.
Well, both of these teams are quarterbackless. I mean, Cardinals. I mean, as I mentioned last week.
Wait, Cardinals are quarterbackless?
Yeah, their rookie. Didn't he got hurt last week? Didn't he?
At the end of the game, yeah, he got his ankle rolled up.
Well, if he
courtesy from Chubbs,
which is ridiculous. But if he didn't get hurt this game, he got hurt last game, and he came into this game hurt.
Yeah, it was last game. It was against the Broncos.
Yeah, because he came in questionable even before this game. So I didn't think he was actually going to play. So, of course, I was going to pick the Broncos anyway.
I mean, the Cardinals may end up losing Patrick Peterson. And, according to the grapevine, it might be to Minnesota.
Which Minnesota would benefit from it. I've heard the Eagles. Of course, you hear the Patriots. Patriots are always in the mix for these players. Even though he makes a lot of money, I don't know if the Patriots be willing to take on that money. But, you already know how I feel about it. Isn't it natural for me to feel this way? That he stay in red jersey and come over to a state where they're not paying the taxes. And I don't mean the Cowboys.
Oh, you mean the Texans?
The Sunshine State. No.
Because they also have red in their uniform.
No, they don't have red. They're more bluish and white.
No. I totally get it. I understand what you're trying to say. Deshaun Watson needs some defensive help. I get it. J.J. Watt needs some secondary help. And why not be him, DeVavian Clowney, and Patrick Peterson on the backfield?
They don't have enough money. They paid JJ too much money. They can't even afford it.
You sure about that?
Because I think they have to pay Clowney this year, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to say yes, but I can always double check that.
And if that is the case, they can't afford Patrick Peterson. But let me tell you a team that could afford Patrick Peterson:
the New Orleans Saints.
Buccaneers. New Orleans Saints. They just traded for Eli Apple. They got no more money though. But yeah, I'm not sure if the Cardinals are gonna really trade him. I think they're gonna smooth that over because
I don't think so. We're still looking at the end of Larry Fitzgerald's career. Like, it's not gonna take very much. Like, and I felt like it all started when they got rid of Honey Badger.
That was weird, and when you say that would make me believe that I could see him going to the Texans. If you would have mentioned that first, I would have been on board.
Well, I thought you was with me on that. That's why I didn't.
I forgot.
I felt like I didn't need to say anything there.
Honestly, I forgot he was in the league. Honestly.
Wow.
I haven't seen any highlights of his. Have you seen highlights from him?
Not really.
Yeah, I forgot he was in the league. I thought he might have still been on injury reserve until the mid-season. Yeah, I don't. He doesn't even show up in my free agency pool, like for available players or taken players. Like I don't even. Again, I would have thought he was on free, IR or something. Let me look right now. Actually, let me see. But continue on. You said Larry Fitzgerald is in his last.
Yeah, it's slowly but surely looking like he's ready to hang him up. I mean, he could still definitely go at a pretty high level, but having to work with a brand new quarterback now, and just given the fact that he's the game is getting much faster now. Like,
he's still a beast, though.
He is still a beast. Like, but the problem is he's not getting the touches, though.
No, he's not. He's not. So Tyrann Mathieu he's just playing.
Oh,
okay.
I just looked at it. Yes, the Texans could actually afford Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, and it would be interesting.
I had to check. I had to look at the numbers.
Now, is that with re-signing Jadeveon Clowney?
That is currently without re-signing Jadeveon Clowney.
Is it really worth it?
But, I mean, the Texans could become the Golden State Warriors of the NFL.
Nobody's doing that in the NFL. Everybody's looking for cheap.
Oh, Patrick Peterson. Cheap. They're going to ask Patrick Peterson to take a pay cut.
And that's not happening. I mean, but I can understand. He probably doesn't want to become the next Aeneas Williams to stay in Arizona his whole career and, start to decline and not really get a chance to play for a title. I mean, not saying that him going to Tampa is going to be immediate success.
I don't know. According to you, there definitely are.
I mean,
instant title contenders.
I think if he was to come over, it would be tremendous help to our defense, and it might give them more confidence to run more man plays where consistently we're running zone. But that's just a wishful fan's thoughts. I mean, who am I but a mere fan? I mean, come on.
I mean, you're the podcasting beast.
I agree, but all in all, the Cardinals stink overall. The 49ers stink overall. I thought the 49ers were going to be better, and I think a lot of people thought the 49ers were going to be good just because they got Richard Sherman.
But Jimmy Garoppolo went down. Like, that was really... Like, forget about the Richard Sherman aspect of it. Because that defense is also pretty bad.
It is.
They was hanging their hat on Jimmy G. Playing the same way he did those couple of games. Now, granted, his injury, non-contact injury, like it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they was hanging their hats on. As soon as this happened, Joey D, also fan of the show, literally said on Facebook, on the Debate Amongst Friends group at www.facebook.com/group/debateamongstfriends, that the season for the 49ers is over.
Absolutely. And honestly, the only bright spot for the 49ers has been Matt Breida, the running back.
Yeah.
He's the only person that's really balling out. I have him on my fantasy team. That's the only reason I know. And he's the only person that's really balling out, and he's kind of nicked up a little bit because they're running him so much.
Yep.
But it's like, again.
I mean, we'll probably have to do a segment now because you're doing fantasy this year while you talk about some fantasy scores. Because I love me some fantasy football.
Oh yeah, like
but
you said, I mean, you try to be the best. Each week you try to just put the best lineup in. But when you have people like, I'm sure people drafted Julio in first, second round, but you know you're going to get a lot of yards from Julio, but he's not getting in the end zone.
No, we all know who. Do you know who is the number one drafted player in NFL fantasy this year?
Number one overall?
Yep.
Number one overall. I mean, a part of me wants to stick with the consistent answer that I get, and that's usually Aaron Rodgers.
You'd be incorrect, sir.
Yeah, but I figured I would be incorrect. I mean, I would be interested to know who it is.
I'm about to find out right now. But my gut is telling me it's another. There has been another. So, I believe it actually is.
You talking about before the season or right now?
Before the season. Before the season. I'm talking about before the season. Who would be the number one pick overall?
And not named Aaron Rodgers?
Not named Aaron Rodgers.
Unless they were gonna go I hope they didn't, but Le'Veon Bell.
I think actually most of the websites are showing Le'Veon Bell, but the person who I would have picked had I played. Oh gosh, if I would have chose this person, anyone in my league would have been pissed at me. Todd Gurley. should be the #1 pick.
I could agree with that. I'll say that he probably's top. He would have been top 4, top 5. Next year he'll definitely be #1 or 2.
No, this year he should have been #1. People slept on him. Like, granted, he should have been maybe. I think he was probably a top 5, top 10 pick, but I would have picked him #1.
Yeah, I mean,
he's basically a younger version of Le'Veon.
It's tough because you know that if think about it like this: if Jared Goff struggled, then they would have had to rely on Todd Gurley. But what would the defense have done?
They had a game. They had a game where they had that happen though. Like we literally have real world material to show what happens when Jared Goff is throwing terribly, and Todd Gurley still went off.
We know that now. We know that now. This
but
year,
I would have taken that chance. I would have taken that chance though.
We didn't know what Jared Goff.
But
was
you know why though? I mean, but you know what though, sir? This is why I'm the Professor John Gotti, and I got those reads.
Hey, remaster. I get it. Like I said, I mean, most likely if it was me. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't home, so I didn't do my draft. I actually got auto-drafted, a very good team. But I think if it was me, I probably wouldn't have taken Todd Gurley still. I probably would have taken...
And that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. If I had the #1 pick overall, and I take that back. If I had the #1 pick overall, and I know that Le'Veon's off the table... there is a chance that I would take Todd Gurley or Aaron Rodgers. But see, I would have been mad because Aaron Rodgers got hurt. He's not really playing that great. But I wouldn't have known that. That's the thing. I mean, what would have really made me sick is that if I would have had the opportunity to draft Patrick Mahomes and passed on him for Ezekiel Elliott or somebody.
Wait, what's his name?
Ezekiel.
That name flipping sucks.
Guess what I got?
But like, before the season started, you know, you heard how much I was praising Todd Gurley. Like, we got the tapes on that. Like, I probably would have chosen #1. Patrick Mahomes, I probably wouldn't have done. I'm pretty sure he was probably maybe a 2nd round draft pick, maybe even 3rd.
Probably lower than that. I mean, I can look that up really quickly though, but he probably was lower than that.
But like, I'm pretty sure he's not a top 15 pick.
Remember, it's probably lower because I don't think he had a great preseason.
Nope. But what do I keep telling people about preseason?
That's true.
What's the one thing I keep telling people about preseason? They don't listen to me, Doc.
You did.
They don't listen to me.
You did say that. Let's see.
It's like I know these things because I know these things. Okay, I'm getting way too cocky.
They're saying that he was a must draft between rounds 8 through 10.
Thank you.
Yeah, 8 through 10. But if you would have, could you imagine if I would have got him auto drafted? How crazy that would have been.
If you would have got him auto drafted, you would be cruising pretty well actually. Not, I mean, he is the top QBR. I think top 1 or top 2, number 1, number 2. It's as far as QBR in the league this year. So.
Right, and I mean, to be honest with you, my team is pretty solid. I won't lie. I mean, like I said, auto draft really showed me some love. But looking back at this NFL thing, I mean, we were still looking at those 1-6 teams.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, those teams had such high hopes.
49ers had high hopes. The Giants had high hopes.
But so each team, including the Raiders, had a high hope for one specific reason. Like you mentioned, 49ers, Jimmy G.
Yep.
The Giants, they got new offensive linemen. The Raiders, they got John Gruden.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a plus or a minus, though. I said that, too. I'm like, here's like, I'm gonna sound like my dude from Sunday Night Football. Now here's a guy who got a Super Bowl ring by riding the coattails of Tony Dungy.
This is true. That's true. It's true. But I mean, if I had to pick one, I would say that I'm more surprised by how bad the Giants are.
Yes.
Compared to the other teams.
I agree.
John Gruden did this to the Raiders.
John Gruden did this to John Gruden. Forget the Raiders. John Gruden did this to John Gruden, who in turn did this to the Raiders. Like it was a poop storm from the start.
Now there are reports that he's quit on the team. Like they don't know if he's committed to the team, so on and so forth, which is kind of ridiculous. I don't think he's done that. I don't think he's quit on the team. I mean, you got 3 first-round picks. I mean, he'll probably get another pick or two before this week is up, I guess, depending on who else he can trade. I mean, Marshawn Lynch is on injured reserve now, so I guess Doug Martin and some other young backs are going to get the call. He's still looking for a pass rusher. Which
what John Gruden is really looking for is a Gruden grinder. That's what he's looking for right now. He's looking for a Gruden grinder. He's just not going to find it, though.
He's not going to find it.
Because, you know why? Because he's getting rid of all of his good skill players.
Yeah, Amari Cooper's a major blow. Big blow. And he didn't have to do that.
No.
But let's dive into maybe 2 or 3 of these games, man.
Let's talk about some of these games.
I don't want to talk about the Broncos game. That was kind of trash.
That was trash.
Let's start with the Patriots and the Bears.
I thought you were going to go to a different game, but let's talk about that one.
So, last week, again, I was on quarantine radio, and, some people were saying, well, I don't know if you listened, but there was a conversation about Khalil Mack. We had to kind of go over if Khalil Mack deserved the money or not. I know, Joy, and some of the guys, they said, hey, he didn't deserve the money. Before we jump into this game, they said he didn't deserve the money, and that this game
Hold on. I'm gonna need to put on my glasses so I can hear better.
Oh, not the glasses. Oh, no.
Because I'm about to...
Oh, God. So he didn't deserve the money, that he hasn't really played against anybody good. And, yeah, basically he didn't deserve the money. And if he couldn't beat the Patriots, then he definitely didn't deserve the money, because this is what they brought him in for. Now,
but isn't Khalil Mack hurt?
So I don't know that part. I didn't even watch him play against the Bucs, so I'm not even sure.
Yeah, he has like an ankle injury. So he's basically playing on an ankle injury. Like, come on.
I'm sure he still impacted the game heavily. But I told them what I believed about Khalil Mack is that the reason why you pay Khalil Mack, you pay J.J. Watt, you pay some of these high-priced, you pay these defensive players high money, is so that the attention goes to them and it opens up the rest of that defensive line.
Yes.
That's why you pay these guys the money. That's why the Giants trading somebody like Snacks Harrison is such a big deal, because he takes the pressure off of everybody else. So when I saw that this was a shootout and that the Bears really had a chance at the end to win the game.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if that's more on the Bears making a comeback to prominence, or if it's the sign that the Patriots are starting to decline.
Well, I think the issue is, the Patriots defense is what we thought it was. Still. We're still looking at like lower half in the league as far as defensive efficiency. Like, let me just add that part out there real quick, because no one's really going to say that, because it's,
Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, the Patriots.
We're on to Cincinnati. But the Chicago Bears is looking like a really exciting team to watch this year.
Absolutely. I agree. And that's why it's like, but a lot of people felt that the team was okay without Khalil Mack. And that's why I said I was actually kind of nervous when they got Khalil Mack, because I was like, well, this team was already good. You know, they got Akeem Hicks. You got Goldman. You had a few other people, Leonard Floyd. I mean, it's a pretty significant team. It's so funny because, you know, they have Prince Amukamara, which we mentioned earlier, which is hilarious. But and then you not only trade for Khalil Mack, but you also draft Roquan Smith, which, you know, I'm big on Roquan Smith, which I think he's going to be one of the best linebackers in the league in a few years if he can stay healthy and keep his head on straight. But this Bears defense, if Mitchell Trubisky can ball out and make that leap to the next level, Bears might be in the playoffs in the next year or so.
I mean, I'd said a bold claim a few weeks ago. I'm like, don't be surprised if the Bears win the NFC North.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't really hear as much from Green Bay anymore that we used to. Because, you know, Green Bay ran that division for so long. And then you had last year the emergence of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
The Lions haven't been as great as they used to be years and years ago, competitive wise. Not so. I
mean, granted, the Vikings have won 3 in a row, and I'm not trying to give them disrespect, but I don't know. It's their defense sometimes wants to play great. Their defense sometimes just want to play horrible. You know, say they were Kirk Cousins. Like, sometimes he just he plays like the old Kirk Cousins. You know, and so now Dalvin Cook is hurt.
So I'll say this: in that division, the Vikings have given up the most points out of everybody in the league. So
yes,
I mean, everybody in the division.
Yes.
Not by a huge margin, but they have given up the most points.
Yes.
So, I mean, the defense definitely has been disappointing, but Kirk Cousins gives them a little bit of stability. As you can see, Case Keenum for the Broncos is kind of showing that he is who we thought he was. Even though the Broncos are 3-4, it's still it might not have worked out if he would have stayed in Minnesota.
No.
So they went and pulled the trigger on that. But ultimately, I agree with you. I think that the Patriots defense still needs to be worked, and they could also be missing Matt Patricia.
That could be a thing.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Right. Now, what game did you think I was going to start with?
The Panthers and the Eagles.
The Panthers versus the Eagles.
And do you know why? Because the Eagles blew a 17-0 lead.
Now, I told you that the Eagles' defense is going to hold a team for as long as they can, and they're going to keep it competitive. 7 points. They've lost or won within 7 points each game, maybe with the exception of one.
Except of one, yep.
And there's no difference. 21-17. It's the same exact thing. It's like the offense just can't get them that one extra touchdown, 2 field goals, whatever it is. They just can't do it.
Well, it's their second half offense. That's the issue. Like, it's nothing else. It's their second half offense. Because they could start the game great. You know, and like a certain YouTuber, you know, Chisel Adonis, make sure you follow his page on YouTube. Mm-hmm. But, like, what he liked to say is, like, oh, that's a great lead. You know, be ashamed if you lose it, right? And that's exactly what they did. And Cam Newton came back. And, you know, the offense just played terribly. Then they took the lead. And then they won the game. And they're going to the Super Bowl.
Hilarious. I mean, you want to know something? And I think I mentioned this
I mean, we're talking about Carson Wentz, who nearly had a perfect game throwing. 30 for
Right.
37. Over 300
Right.
yards. Stats like that should be a victory.
Should
What
be.
happened?
9 carries for 32 yards, 4
Yep.
carries for 17, 8 for 6, 3 for 3. That's what happened. I mean, I didn't watch the game. Now, you know, I have Cam Newton on my fantasy team, but he didn't start. I'm going to talk about who I started later. But Cam is a winner. We've known Cam since he was at Auburn. He's a winner. I mean, his 7 carries for 49 yards, I mean, he's out there balling.
He has a killer instinct about him.
Exactly. And he's making use of his weapons. I mean, obviously, they could use a back. And I could see them drafting well, I don't know, because Christian McCaffrey's supposed to be the guy, but as many people mentioned, you know, Christian McCaffrey's a great scat bag, kind of like the Patriots use James White. They're going to pass it to him. They're going to run him sometimes, but teams don't have that home run hit. So let's say if the Panthers were like, you know what, you know, we're doing pretty good right now. You know, we're up there. We're close to, well, we're pretty much battling with the Saints for number 1. What if we took our first round pick and dangled it a little bit? Let's dangle it. Let's go out here and see if we can get Le'Veon Bell. And they just run with it. Le'Veon Bell and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's pretty legit.
That is pretty legit.
You know, so I mean, it's just something to think. It's something to think about. But with the Eagles, you're right. I think it's something's missing. I don't know what it is. The defense isn't playing terrible.
No.
They're playing like they've been playing. The offense just isn't getting that extra score needed to compete. They're just not getting that extra score needing to win the game.
The offense is not doing the defense any favors.
No justice whatsoever.
It's going to hurt them as the season progresses, unless they make a move or they have a come to Jesus talk with each other. Because defense win championships, but like you can't sit there and expect the defense to do it for 16 games.
And I wonder if that's why there were so many reports of the Eagles trying to get Shady McCoy back to give them that spark.
In which, I don't know, man. I mean, that would definitely help. But, I mean, that's bad blood right there.
I agree. Because, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because, I mean, Buffalo should start probably unloading themselves so they can start preparing for the future.
I mean, talk about a downward spiral.
Right. Yeah, downward spiral. But, you know, I have to
Let's talk about this Browns Buccaneers game. Let's hear what you got to say here. Because if you tell me anything other than this game was absolute garbage.
Well, you know, I didn't get a chance to watch. Unfortunately, I had other engagements, but I did watch.
This game was garbage.
Look on my phone. So,
like the fact that people were celebrating this victory for two teams under 500, that you know the Browns, like, yeah, maybe we can give it a little slide, but the Buccaneers have no excuses.
How do you give the Browns slack?
Oh, because every single game that they lost has literally been like 3 points. Under 3 points.
I mean, that's no fault of the Bucs. I mean, so we got blown out by the Bears. I think we've kept it competitive with other games.
It was Mitchell Trubisky's coming out party, sir.
I mean, he played good against a terrible secondary.
You switched QBs in this game as well.
You said what?
You switched off your QBs in this very same game as well.
But that's quarterbacks.
The Buccaneers were victimized. To use my Paul Heyman persona real quick.
That's why it's so weird. Everybody keeps blaming Jameis, but it's like...
Whoa. I did not blame Jameis for that. I am saying the team...
Wait a minute. The fact that I said our defensive secondary is bad, and your first statement was that we switch quarterbacks.
No.
It speaks
No,
volumes.
no. I said.
It speaks volumes.
What?
It speaks volumes.
I said, y'all got destroyed by the Bears. Then I said that was also said game that you switch your QBs. And then I'm also agreeing with you because the defense is still bad.
But it had nothing to do with Jameis, though. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't say anything about Jameis. All I'm saying is that the Buccaneers have a heck of a receiving core, and we both agreed to that at the start of the year. We also said that during the first two wins that they had as well too. The fact that all they have to do is give the ball to their playmakers and let them ride. Right. I don't know what's so complicated about football where you can't give it to dynamic players like Deshaun freaking Jackson who can tear the lid off of a defense at any given time. These are the same things that you tell me, but yet I'm not seeing this.
But Deshaun Jackson did tear the lid off the Bears.
Deshaun Jackson had 25 yards in his past game.
Versus the Bears? Or are you talking about the Browns now?
We're talking about the Browns. Come on, we're talking about the game right now.
That's what I'm saying. You keep jumping back and forth. That's what I'm like. I don't know. You're talking about the Browns still? You're talking about the Bears?
I'm not. I was talking. Wow. Back on track.
You just mentioned how the Bears destroyed us.
Back on track.
Party. I mean, you can't sit here and say, hey, both receivers are going to... Like, listen, those games that we were shooting out in the beginning of the season where both receivers had 100 yards, you're going to sit here and point out that Deshaun Jackson has 2 catches for 25 yards. Mike, you're skipping pretty much 4 other receivers who had pretty solid games. I mean, Jameis threw the ball 52 times, completed 32 passes. You can't skip past the fact that Mike Evans had 107 yards. Come on.
So, while you're correct with that, Jameis Winston threw for 32 out of 52. He threw for 365. How many TDs did he get?
He didn't throw any. He ran one.
I give you credit for that one. He ran for 55 yards. That's a stat you forgot to mention too. How many picks did he get?
I didn't want to mention. I was trying not to prove my point, but to help you with yours actually.
What?
I was trying to help you. I was going to leave that out because I was like, well, I don't want to.
What? Anywho.
Which this is when I tell
this
you.
This is real skip like right now, ladies and gentlemen. Anywho, sir, as you were saying about the game, like I thought it was a really bad game for both sides, but that's just the way that I looked at it. But you said you had some positives about the game,
I don't know what you expected. I mean, Baker Mayfield had 2 touchdowns. Nick Chubb ran for 80 yards. Mm-hmm. Jarvis Landry had 10 catches for 97 yards.
Bless him.
I mean, this seems like a pretty solid game, except for our run game. I mean, this seems like a pretty solid game. I didn't watch it, so I don't know if it was dry or not. But
you might need to check out your highlights for your game then.
Well, see, my thing is the only thing that made it terrible for me was that
you lost.
What?
You said the only thing that makes it terrible for you, and I said because the team lost. Like that should be the first thing that makes it terrible.
We didn't look. The Bucks didn't lose, though.
I know. I'm trying to put you on tilt, and it's not working.
Yeah, you're ruining the whole thing right now. I don't know what you're talking about. So, I'm literally looking at it. That's I'm like, what is he talking about? Again, are you looking at the Bears game? That's how I'm
no,
like,
I'm not looking at the Bears game.
This
whole time I've been trying to troll you.
The only thing that made it terrible for me was that the kicker missed at the end of regulation.
That was pretty bad. That was actually pretty bad.
I mean, but him making a 59-yarder to win, I mean, saved his job because I was already on the cut train. Get him out of here.
He was ready like this. He's ready to slap that second tee and kick him out the game. Like,
get him out of here. But I don't know. I don't know what you expected. I mean, there's a defensive game. Unfortunately, we lost Quan Alexander.
Mm-hmm. That was actually a really big loss. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what you expected out here.
And isn't like Jerome McCoy still banged up too from I want to say 2 games ago?
Yeah, I don't think he played. Yeah, I don't think he played either. I mean, but hey,
I think
I
you're
don't know what you
right.
expected out here. I really don't. I'm trying to figure out what you wanted from these teams. I mean, it's the Bears. I mean, it's the you got me saying Bears now. It's
It's
the
the
it's the
Browns.
Bucks and the
Yes.
Browns. Yeah, I don't know. We lost two linebackers actually,
Hmm.
but Carl Nassib, who played for Cleveland in the offseason, he came over to Tampa. He had 2 sacks. I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, what you looking at out here?
I
And you
mean,
keep in mind, this is the first game in which our new defensive coordinator called the plays. We held the team under 23. I mean,
you know
and
what?
really, we held them
That's actually
under.
fair. I completely forgot about the
Yeah,
defensive coordinator being switched out. You,
like we
you know
held the
why? Because
team under
because
20.
uh, because we're so used to saying that defensive coordinator need to be fired that it
Right. I
just
mean,
went over my head right there.
we really held the team under what 10. They had about 10 or 14 for the most of the game. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Like what you were looking at out there, or what you expected.
It's bad to say I just wanted more. Like,
It is because I mean, these are two really, really good defensive teams. They just somehow don't put good games together. I mean, I'm happy with where the Browns are trending. I'm happy now with what the Bucks are doing. Somebody asked a question earlier. Do we see the Bucks possibly making the playoffs? And I'm like, yeah, if we make some moves, we're gonna have to make some moves.
gonna have to do something.
Especially, yeah. Can the Browns still make the playoffs? Probably not, unless they
Probably
make some
not.
moves too.
Well, that and plus they're gonna start needing a lot of help in that division.
I'm gonna tell you though, their core right now is really good.
Yes.
They have a good core. They just have to put it together, and maybe it's Hugh Jackson.
I mean, sometimes it is the coach.
Yeah, maybe in this situation, it's
Just-
Hugh Jackson. I know we're not.
Just
I know we're not
just
talking about
ask Tony
LeBron,
Dungy.
but exactly. Well, that's
That was a joke. That was a low blow. I apologize. That was a low blow.
I think I need to curl up. That's terrible. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I was happy that we made the field goal at the end of the game. That's all I could say is that we
I will
won the
agree with that.
game. We're 500. I'm happy with that. We move on to play a tough Bengals team, which hopefully,
Who's definitely going
They
to be
don't-
looking to retaliate after the spanking that the Chiefs gave him on Sunday night.
well, let me tell you about this game.
Tell me about this game. Talk to Gotti.
So as I mentioned, and we're going back to fantasy here, I was winning probably close to 100 points, maybe about 80. Other person had Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. So okay, they might get 40, 50 points, and then I'll win with Saquon Barkley, which I did. But when them boys were still running and throwing at the end of the game, I was so mad because it was getting closer and closer, and I was like, man, I wish the Bengals would just shut this down already. Like, I need them to wrap this up because they're getting close. They're getting
Like
too close.
Doc over there was just like sweating.
I believe
He's
this.
over here. He's over here pulling Pete Carroll against John Harbaugh. Like,
Like, I believe that Saquon Barkley would get, 10 to 15 points, which he did. But, Kareem Hunt and I mean, actually, no, it wasn't Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill. It was Kareem Hunt and Sammy Watkins, which I expected Sammy Watkins not to get too many catches, but then all of a sudden he started catching passes, and I was like, come on. Kareem Hunt was destroying the Bengals, and it was just getting to be out of hand. And, I mean, it's just continuing to show how good Patrick Mahomes is.
28 for 39, 358, 4 TDs, 1 pick.
Yeah, he's just playing lights out football. He's going to definitely be looking to get potential MVP.
I think he should definitely be an MVP candidate. Him and Garrett Goff. And Gurley. Those are right now my 3 MVP candidates. I mean, granted, they do it by conference, but like,
I'll say this, and you'll probably get mad, not get mad.
if you tell me Jameis
sure.
Winston's the MVP candidate, I'm shutting down the show right now.
No, I'm not gonna say that. Oh my God. I was gonna say they'll probably give it to Mahomes no matter what, only because he's young.
Yep.
It's kind of gonna be like the Westbrook factor, where
Really? I mean, I'd rather put it to Todd Gurley.
Again, you would put it to Todd Gurley, but they would give it to Mahomes because number one,
quarterbacks always win that award.
Right. They made the change from Alex Smith to Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Yep.
He's young, he's playing great. Like they're gonna be like, well, Todd Gurley's got golf. He's got so many players, and they're gonna make up all kinds of excuses. Let's just put it like that.
You can say the same about Mahomes. Like what?
I mean, you can, but I'm just telling you what it's gonna sound like. I'm just telling you what it's gonna sound like.
Wow.
Because if that's the case, then they're gonna just give it to Jared Goff. They're not gonna give it to Gurley. They're gonna find a way. So right now, Todd Gurley is leading in touchdowns, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And running touchdowns. But I mean, Mahomes is just playing some great football.
He is.
And I just think that they're going to just give it to him because he's young. Like, I just feel like it. You're probably going to be like, well, so is everybody else, but he's making.
Well, and I'm not taking credit away from Mahomes. Like, I think he's doing a heck of a job.
Just like you didn't take away anybody else when they gave it to Russell Westbrook, and then the next year you got mad when they didn't give it back to him, even though he was averaging the same amount.
Well, and I'm saying, and the reason I said that was like he's doing the same thing. So what makes that past year different from the previous year? Like James Harden was doing the same thing last year as well too.
He lost Westbrook. I mean, he lost Durant. That's it. That's the difference.
I was like, how did Westbrook lose Westbrook?
I mean, he moved so fast, he lost himself. But he really lost Durant, and they felt bad.
Westbrook became broken.
He got the sympathy vote. And in this situation, hey, Chiefs made a bold switch. It's working for them. I mean, the Rams are loaded.
They are loaded.
But I don't think
the Chiefs are too. I mean, now the defense is starting to show.
I don't think people expected the Chiefs to be this good.
No, they didn't expect them to be good at all. They thought they was going to have at least 2 years before they start being good again.
And that's why he'll be MVP.
You might be right. I mean, I hope it's Gurley. I feel like Gurley deserves it, but you might be right.
Yeah. I mean, some of these other games, let's see, Texans, the Jaguars, I don't know what's going on with the Jaguars. Obviously, the Bills are who we thought they were.
We could talk about this NFC East showdown.
Yeah, Cowboys. Did you watch any of this game?
A little bit. But I caught the highlights afterwards, though.
I watched the end. Oh, really the last quarter. I watched the fourth quarter. I was just about to play 2K. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, let me check on this Cowboys game. It's actually one of my coworkers went out to the game, traveled out to Washington. And I'm sure it was cold out there.
Oh, yeah.
And people are starting to really, really not like Dak Prescott. Like, really, really not like him. Like, I want anybody else but you, Dak.
Man, it's like they listened to the show like 2 years ago.
2 years ago, right? But yeah, they're like really hating Dak right now, and
because a certain guy with 5 in his name got upset with us because we was talking trash about Dak. And we said he's not the type of quarterback that's going to lead the Cowboys to the promised land. And he told us that Dak Prescott is going to become a top 5 QB in the league. And he's going to lead them to a Super Bowl within 2 years.
I remember, but like I said earlier, with Jason Garrett at the helms, I don't see it happening. I will say this: with the addition of Amari Cooper,
it should improve things.
It should help. I don't know how much.
Not a lot.
It should help Cole Beasley.
He's going to get a heck of a lot more touches.
Even though Cole Beasley played great, he made a heck of a catch at the end of the game to put them in position to tie.
Yeah.
But when that kicker kicked this last field goal and it started going, and I was like, oh man, it looks like it was straight. It looked like a shotgun out there, like
it's like we're here. No, we're not.
No, we're not. And I mean, hearts sank. I think somebody posted on Facebook. I think every Cowboys fan just threw their remote at the same time.
Wait. So I went through. They went through the 5 phases of acceptance of grief right there, because like they got mad. Most people started crying. People started bargaining. They was accusing the referees of cheating them. They accepted that maybe Dak isn't the quarterback we thought he was.
And it's really ridiculous. Like, really, really bad. Like, you didn't even have any idea how bad it was. And
my gosh!
And I wanted the game to go into overtime. You know, I was really, rooting for the game to go into overtime. Because, like I said, they were balling out. Cole Beasley had some great catches at the end of this game.
Cole Beasley's a great slot receiver. We never said anything about him being a number 1 receiver.
And it's so funny to hear Jason Witten calling the game. It's like, because he's like, yeah, they have him in your old spot right there inside. They're definitely going to him. Oh God!
Like, is it like, just a quick sidebar? But like, don't you enjoy listening to like Jason Witten, especially Tony Romo commentary? Like they are a delight.
I think Tony is so good because he knows football. Like, not taking anything away from Jason, but Tony
take a lot of things away from Jason.
Okay, so Tony, I think because Tony knows so much about offense, like he's like, oh, they're probably gonna go to this person right here in the slot, and then it's like they go to that person there in the slot, and it's like, oh my God, Tony's like really good. You know what I mean? And it's like, when you think about it, like, man, like if I'm a team, I'm like, man, I don't want Tony up there in the box broadcasting. I want Tony to be down here helping me with this quarterback that I'm struggling with. You know what I mean? Like when I saw Peyton Manning at the Giants game, I was like, Peyton Manning should be coaching somewhere, not sitting leaning up against a goalpost in New York. You know what I mean? Like, these guys should be out there, giving their advice, like, like Omaha or something.
No. But the worst part is, like, they was talking about who's gonna be like helping out Dak. What was his name from Boise State that I liked? Kellen Moore was going to eventually become the QB coach for the Cowboys.
And he's never thrown a pass more than 30 yards, I don't think.
Except for in college.
He's never had a big arm. Like, in college, I don't think he was a long ball kind of guy. He's more of a short. He's more of a Alex Smith. Before there was like, but I think Alex. Well, maybe not. He can't throw the ball too far anymore either. But I would have somebody else. I literally would get anybody else. Anyone.
Anyone but you, Dak. Anyone but you.
Yeah. But I really don't even want to talk about any of these other games, honestly.
There is no other games to really talk about. Like, everything else was pretty much boring.
What it was, yeah. I will just say this: Drew Brees finally beat the Ravens. I know there was a video going or a picture going around that he had never beaten the Ravens, so he was able to not only beat the Ravens, but
that's called foreshadowing, and that's called poking the bear. You should never do that before a game.
Yeah, and he was able to look at that bear in the face and say, "Forevermore, quote thy Breeze." But are there any games this week that you're looking forward to, sir?
Let me take a quick look at it. Well, Broncos and Chiefs are facing off against each other again. So are the Browns and the Steelers.
Browns and the Steelers should be good.
Browns and the Steelers, there will be a decision this time. I don't know who will win it, but there will be a decision, a winner this time.
Yes. I look forward to seeing the Ravens versus the Panthers. I think that should be a good.
That one's going to be a really good one. I will actually agree with you with that one. I will agree. The Packers and the Rams would be a good one.
Yes, I'm going to say there's a lot of terrible matchups.
There are a lot of terrible.
And the Raiders.
Gosh.
Yeah, like that's so bad.
But yeah, Vikings and Saints is probably the game that I'm most looking forward to watching.
Oh yeah, that should be interesting. You know what they're gonna show all night.
Yep.
Oh my God, he's still up. Oh my God. Oh God,
but yes, yeah, that's the game that I'm looking forward to. Is that one? Like everything else, it's not really that interesting. I mean, we're probably gonna have a real short recap next week.
Exactly, and I'm okay with that. But let's move on to the hardwood because I don't even want to. The football field is already starting to kind of
basketball back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
basketball.
Finally,
someone put a basketball in DAF and Prof's hands.
Yeah, please. So,
but before we do that, though, let's talk about tonight's sponsor. In celebration for a great actor's 80th birthday this week.
Uh-oh.
Christopher Lloyd. I am drinking Dr. B.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Talking about 21.21 gigawatts.
Oh my God.
Pick it up at your local HEB or Central Market if you have them. It's actually delicious.
What is it? What is it supposed to be?
This is another version of, and the Doctor is a great clue, of Dr. Pepper. And it does have 23 flavors. And while Dr. Pepper has a sharp taste, this one's a lot more smooth. It's actually quite delicious. So, if you see this around in your craft soda aisle, make sure you pick it up and try it out. But Dr. B, Christopher Lloyd, happy birthday to you, sir.
Excellent. All right, so before we jump too far into basketball, yeah, and because we did this for football, let's talk about really briefly our 0-3 teams in the NBA. Right now, there are 4 of them. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the Chicago Bulls, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Los Angeles Lakers.
The Los Angeles LeBrons?
Yes, the LeBrons of LA. Real basketball players of LA. Which, I'm sure some people are gonna be like, well, I mean, let's not talk about the 1-2 and 1-3 teams, but we're talking about 0-3. They haven't won a game just yet. Obviously, the Bulls are going through growing pains.
Yep.
As well as the Cavs. We know who the Cavs are. I mean, they are who we thought they were.
Who we thought they are. Now. I mean, this is basic, LeBron James leaving them.
Right. Thunder.
I was going to use an innuendo there, but I probably shouldn't.
Don't do it. The Thunder kind of surprised at the slow start.
Westbrook is out via injury. I believe he just came back.
Yeah, he played he played the last game versus the Kings on Friday. Yep. I mean, they haven't been getting blown out or anything, and a lot of teams that they're losing to are fairly good. I mean, they're making strides to be good, I'll say. But those Lakers, pretty surprising and disappointing. Kind of throwing that, I don't want to say red flag, but kind of throwing that little jab, and notice that Luke Walton might have to start looking for a new job.
Oh, and they already talked about how LeBron is questioning Luke Walton. And when LeBron James is starting to question you, your job is gone.
Yeah, and I mean, it's happened so many times already that you kind of come to expect it.
Yeah.
There was even a meme today. And I don't know how serious it was. It might not even have been a meme. It might have been legit that if the Lakers were to start 0-5, that Kobe would come out of retirement. How ridiculous!
I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I think this is something that Kobe said.
I feel like Kobe was just saying that to troll people because the medias are a bunch of pariahs and they just want anything for a story. Especially in Los Angeles, and the fact that Los Angeles Lakers has finally become relevant within the past couple of years because they kind of suck pretty badly. But that's just me hypothesizing. I don't know these things.
Yeah, I mean, and of course it was a joke. It was a joke. Of course, it was a joke on the Jimmy Kimmel show. But with the Mamba, you always gotta think about it. Like,
Oh yeah.
I could see him. I could see him coming back. I mean, obviously,
he's just as good as my usual Facebook post to screw with my family.
Of course. But I'll say this: the Lakers have a team that's really, really good. Like, I mean, when you look at them defensively, it looks like they brought in a lot of defensive players. But that defense hasn't really translated to offense. Everybody else's teams are pretty much the same. Obviously, the Cavs lost LeBron. They brought in Colin Sexton. The Bulls, which I thought would be better, apparently, according to one of my coworkers, they signed a out-of-shape Jabari Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually not even close to being ready to play basketball. But Zach LaVine is playing great from what I've been told. Now, I don't know about the Bulls turning it around in a year, but I mean, I just think about that trade that they made to move Jimmy Butler now.
Yep.
How ridiculous it is.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Mean, yikes. But I mean, it's like I said, 3 games in.
I mean, it's not time to hit the panic button for any of these teams. We all know that the Lakers will probably end up being in the playoffs anyway. So, I'm not saying that LeBron's done. We're not saying any of that stuff.
None of that stuff.
But I am sticking to my cards and saying that they're going to be a lower seed in the playoffs, though.
Absolutely.
Because people need to put some respect on their names. The Trailblazers definitely gave them a punch in the mouth.
Without question. And that's when I was going to go to the other side of the spectrum. Let's look at some of the undefeated teams. The Raptors, the Bucks, the Pistons, the Nuggets, and the Pelicans.
In which Blake Griffin just had a 50-point game in a victory.
I heard. So the Pistons, clearly they have a pretty solid core. They have the guy, honestly, that made me a Duke fan, and Luke Kennard. I'm not sure if he's getting any additional minutes yet, which I think he should. Um, Blake Griffin separating from Chris Paul last year, obviously, probably still looking to find his way. Some people said that he was overrated. I want to say it might have been Q-Mart.
It was Q-Mart. Who we have yet to bring back onto the show. We need to make that happen.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to do that. But I think in this situation, it's interesting. Obviously, the coaching has changed in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Dwayne Casey runs a tough program.
He does.
So I actually think that the Pistons are going to play better this year under Dwayne Casey. They're going to get back to the playoffs, playing tough basketball.
But and the crowd screaming out, Detroit
basketball.
Thank you. That would have been awkward.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
didn't say that.
I got your back. I got your back. But, so the Pistons 3-0 start, not really expecting that. The other two teams in the East, the Bucks and the Raptors, I expected the Bucks to play good. Didn't know about 3-0 good to start the season. Again, still young. But I'll tell you one thing. That time that I had said, I wonder if Kawhi's still a good player, instantly regret that.
Okay, I was just about to ask if you regretted that statement too, because I was like, "You sure about that? Are you positive?"
This is what I'll say. He's not scoring at a high value, but he's still a great basketball player.
I feel like his greatest value is what he contributes to the floor as a complete basketball player instead of just an offensive player. And I think that's the part of the game that people get screwed up. Like, it's never just about how many points you scored. It's about what contributions you put to the team as a whole on both offense and defense. But all people want to look at is points, especially with Westbrook, because, those cherry-picking rebounds. But that's besides the point. But, like, people just look at it as offense. Like, the old school cats, they know it's about everything. And that's what the Kawhi Leonard is he does everything.
I agree. And I'm sure Kyle Lowry is so happy to have him. I know he really liked having DeMar DeRozan, but, DeRozan's no Kawhi.
No Kawhi.
Leonard. Yeah.
No Kawhi at all.
Looking at the two West teams, the Nuggets, which the Nuggets have a great all-around scoring team. They have a very
good scoring team.
You bring in Isaiah Thomas, you draft Michael Porter Jr., you already had Will Barton and Gary Harris, Jamal Murray. Let's not even, you can't skip past Paul Millsap. They stole away Juan Hernan-Gomez from the Knicks. And that's before you even get to Trey Lyles, who I think Trey Lyles is a really good player. I loved him in college. I never really saw where he was going to fit in any offense because I kind of felt like Trey Lyles has that ability to be that point forward. Like, he could be, the Giannis, or he could be like a Ben Simmons if they wanted him to play that way, to me, from what I've seen at Kentucky. But it's so interesting to see how they use him. And they have a solid squad. I'll give them credit.
Yep.
They put together a solid squad. Now, this last team, I had the privilege of watching live destroy my Rockets. The New Orleans Pelicans. Anthony Davis says, "I'm tired of being voted number 2, 3, 4, 5. It's time for me to be number 1."
This might be the season he comes out and becomes the number 1 player in the world.
He's trying to be number 1, and it's in an aggressive fashion. Like no, don't get me wrong. Teams are still adjusting. It's early in the season, but when I'm telling you, I'm watching Anthony Davis drop step. He's euroing. He's hitting the fadeaways. He's really balling right now. And I think he's trying to get that MVP. And he's trying to get the Pelicans. They tasted the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
And he wants that feeling, or he's going to try to get out of there. Maybe he's trying to play his way to a point where people will be like, you know what, I'm going to go to New Orleans. And that's the way to do it.
Yeah. I agree.
I respect it. I respect it too. I respect it.
I respect the fact that the Pelicans are trying to punch each team in the mouth.
They really are. And each team is a little different because, with the Rockets, I felt like, they were like, hey, we're not going to let them outshoot us. We're going to go out here. We're going to shoot our own threes. And I think I would say the acquisition of Julius Randle, who's a guy that,
we was very high on.
Right.
Very high.
A guy who played with Anthony Davis in college.
In Kentucky, yep.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's do this. Let's run it like we used to do. Now, if they just so happen one day to say, you know what, the Drew Holiday project isn't working, let's go get a guy named John Wall, then this whole thing is over.
Completely over.
That's neither here nor there.
Completely.
Drew Holiday is a perfect guard for them right now. And I like what they have. I like Etuan Moore. I was about to say, I've never really liked Nikola Mirotic.
He's averaging 28 points a game so far this year.
He is.
I think he's benefiting from how much gravity AD is pulling in. But that's what you want for a second or third option. Like, you want your star player to bring in all that gravity so you can get your points. But you got to make those shots, though.
Mirotic is just one of those guys. I always felt like he was inconsistent, and that's why I didn't like him. My experience with him is from seeing him in Chicago before the last time he manned up. His jaw got straight swole.
Oh, can't wait to talk about another person who got, stole with a two-piece.
Right.
Told him original recipe, not that extra crispy.
Yes, original. Yes, and spicy. But yeah, Mirotic is just one of those guys that I never really trusted. But let's get to this chicken bucket. Let's just get to the chicken bucket. Let's just talk about this chicken.
The Lake Show Throwdown, the thriller in Hollywood. CP3 versus Rajon Rondo, who is also teaming up because that ended up being the case.
Yeah.
So let me start off, and we're talking about the LeBron's first home game with the Lakers. Staples Center, primetime game. It's on ESPN. The world is watching us right now, to use their old moniker. I want to say this. That game, before we even get up to that moment, was one of the worst coached, refereed game I've ever seen. It was terrible.
It was pretty rough.
So many blown calls, stupid makeup calls, phantom calls.
It was rough.
What is going on, refs? The refs didn't do anything to try to get control of the situation. They had no control over this game whatsoever. And I had a chance to watch, coaches from B-Ball Breakdown's analysis of the game, and I completely agree. There were so many
to me
areas of this game that the referees could have regained control of the situation, because both teams were frustrated. If not at each other, then at the refs. And of course, the players can't punch a referee because they'll be banned for life.
Right.
You know who I'm talking about with that one.
Yeah.
But had they actually did anything, because I believe the fight happened around the fourth quarter.
It was in the fourth quarter.
Had they did something before halftime, or had they, brought the coaches in as the players were in the locker room to tell them, hey, we gotta stop this right now. Like, first person to start, doing something that's out of bounds, like, we're gonna kick him out. Like, we're gonna take control of this game. Absolutely. They didn't do any of that stuff. Like, we potentially could have been looking at a Denver Nuggets versus Knicks fight.
I agree.
And dare I say, a potential Malice in the Palace part deuce.
Because I'm going to tell you, if Gerald Green was out there, I don't know what would have happened.
If Gerald Green was out there, like, there's certain players in the NBA that you don't start a fight with. Luckily, one of the toughest guys in the NBA is retired.
Right.
And that's David West.
Several people are retired. I mean, but
a lot of them are definitely in that early 2000s, mid 2000s class. So yes, absolutely.
I'm just saying, there like several people. I mean, I'm surprised PJ Tucker wasn't out there swinging.
I think he understands his value to the team. Plus, I don't think you should be saying that too.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be saying that though.
So, well, I mean, what was your? All right, so I know you finish your point. Though. I'm gonna let you finish your point.
Well, so that was my major point. Like, it was just terrible all around. Like, I feel like Adam Silver needs to reanalyze his referee staff and, put in more discipline for them to take control of games when things becomes too ticky-tacky and, players are taking it upon themselves to enforce the will of the game. Now, granted, we don't want the referees to determine the outcome of the game, but during the game, we want to make sure that the referees are able to keep control of things so people don't end up swinging.
Yeah.
Because that ends up being a big... Like, this is prime time, Doc. Prime time. Now, had it been on NBA TV on a Tuesday night, I don't think people would be talking about it so much. Like, it's Wednesday, and we're still talking about it. It was on Saturday. And it was LeBron. Like, anything with LeBron James is going to be marquee headlines in every sports media outlet. And the fact that there was no control over any of this. And not to mention the punishments. Because Brandon Ingram should have been suspended for a lot longer than, 4 games he got? He should have been yeah.
Yeah, 4 games.
Yeah, he should be suspended for a lot longer than that.
Agreed.
Because that right there, and you'll understand when I say this, like, that was on the scale of some, what happened to Rudy T.
Yes, which I hated, by the way.
Like, that's how bad all of this is. Because imagine if he actually hit Chris Paul flush, and let's say he broke his orbital bone or something like that, or completely shatter his nose. Like, well, now the NBA is gonna have to play, damage control for the entire season. Now Adam Silver is gonna have to talk about this for the whole season, just like the Angel Stern had to do after Malice in the Palace. We're not saying we don't want to see people fighting, but if you're trying to enforce this particular vision of the NBA, after you had your, heavy hip-hop influence back in the early 2000s, and of course we all know how that one ended up turning out. Now you want to make it look more of like the players are prestige, they're role models and all this other jazz. Like, you have to find that balance, in my opinion.
I agree.
But go ahead, sir.
So, first and foremost, before the fight, I actually didn't see anything too, I guess, and exciting or too something. I didn't see anything that was going to agitate a fight. I mean, I told my brother prior to the game, or I guess prior to the second half, I said, I think I'm going to love this CP3 and Rondo matchup. Like it's something about it that's just so 90s. Like you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I was like, they're gonna because first and foremost, they both are heels.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I know we talked about this last season how CP3 was embracing his heel as a
He was
rocket,
embracing his heel. He was trying to break people's heels and ankles.
but you know, according to reports, CP3 has always been a heel apparently.
Yes.
Which you know,
It's his high competitive drive.
right, and he has a lot of antics that drive people crazy. He does a lot
Yes.
of different things, but I respect him for it because it works. You know what I mean? Like he gets under people's skin, and I think in this situation now, a lot of people have been like, "Oh, like I think I had a debate on Facebook about the nature of the spit." You know,
Are we really gonna analyze the spit thing? Because like I already have like one thing to say, and it's the right answer.
spit is spit. That's what I
Spit is
said,
spit.
but
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
yeah. So the guy said, "You guys need to settle down. You guys are making this spit incident seem like it was Tupac spitting out here on the you know that legendary video where he's spitting at the camera." And I'm like, you know, spit on spit in this climate, spit in this situation. It seemed like Tupac spit. You understand? Like, if you're spitting on me in this high climate situation, you're telling me like, hey, you want to fight right now.
Like, okay, so Shannon Sharp, while he always goes to his, you know, LeBron strange boner mode a lot,
Sure.
he made one thing perfectly clear that I 100% agree with. If you spit on anyone, you are asking to get your jaw stole.
Well, see, and that's
Like
where I
to the point to where the video that you shared earlier,
right,
that would have
that
happened.
one. So the fact that Chris Paul only put his finger in his face,
Would just show how much
was-
patience he had.
right, and that's why I was like, people were blaming Chris Paul. I'm like, bro, you got spit on. You know, he put his hand in his face, sure, but he could have just thrown off on him right from the jump.
I'm just saying, like he could have punched
Like-
him, like
Immediately. Chris Childs, like immediately. You understand what I'm saying? Like immediately.
Doug Christie him.
Immediately. Ron Artest. Immediately.
I mean,
You know,
he could have definitely pulled that Jermaine O'Neal sliding punch.
Immediately. It could have been a punch
I'm
in the
just
face.
saying, like it could have turned worse than it was.
So, all right, so now we're moved on to the aftermath here, where two things happen. The first thing is, how did you feel about the heat on LeBron for seemingly sticking up for his friend rather than being a teammate and whatever? That was the narrative. Like LeBron should have just joined the Rockets. LeBron was out there looking like a sucker with his friend, so on and so forth.
Here's the problem with this. If you're looking at this as a 80s, 90s, early 2000s NBA,
Right.
100% agree with you. It was a trash move. It was SAWFT, but that's not how the NBA is anymore. As much as we all would love to see that kind of competition where people want to battle against each other to become the best amongst their peers, that's not how the NBA works anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I don't like it, but I adapted to this, and I can accept that.
Yeah.
So LeBron James pulling away CP3, his friend, one of his best friends, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if the Doc was on another team and he's about to give someone a B dorm, I'm gonna pull him away. Now, if my teammates get upset with me, I'm gonna look at them dead in the eye, and I'm like, you really don't want this eye of the storm.
Right. I mean, but my thing was, it's like Carmelo was pulling people away. I mean,
Well,
first and foremost, Brandon Ingram really deserved a lot more games.
But it goes back to, like, since it's LeBron James, like, that's gonna be the biggest narrative bit being said. Like, people think that we're just saying that because we're LeBron haters, because we're not. It's just this is what the media does today. That's all they do. You know, we joked about, like, if LeBron James farted inside of a restaurant, it's gonna be on freaking Sports Center. It's gonna be on First Take. It's gonna be on Undisputed. It's gonna be on Get Up. It's gonna be on, you know, First Things First. Like, they're going to talk about it because it's LeBron James. That's what they do. But please continue, sir.
So that was one part, and then there's the whole who's a better teammate, Rondo or Chris Paul, because of some statements that Big Baby Davis made, as well as Ryan Hollins, both claiming that Chris Paul is not a good teammate. And I mean, that's subjective.
Well, here's the deal with that. Are they both still in the NBA right now?
They're not. They are absolutely not.
Okay, then let's move on then.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the other thing. I mean, but you know how some people they're trying. Well, really, it stems from Rondo saying.
In fact, Big Baby played with both of them.
He did.
What?
Ryan Hollins did too. They both did. They both played with both of them. That's why it was such a thing. But really, it was Rondo who said that Chris Paul was a bad teammate, and then other people came out and kind of just started.
I feel like they need to you know, silence their cell phones and shut their mouths because they don't know what they're talking about.
Agreed, but
because that sounds like a very biased opinion, and once they have unbiased opinion that they can follow up with actual facts, then let's hear that. But until then, no, they're just salty teammates because Chris Paul demanded more from them.
Agreed.
Oops, did I say that out loud, ladies and gentlemen?
You did. But I think that's all I had, unless you had something else. I mean, I don't know if you want to skip past the show without talking about your Knicks.
I mean, we're 1-2 right now. We're actually currently playing. In fact, I was going to do a score check for all the games that's currently in progress. So let's go through that real quick before we talk about my Knicks. The Mavericks against the Hawks, it is currently 74-65 in the third quarter. The Nets versus the Cavaliers, it is 87 the Nets and 88 the Nets and 68 the Cavaliers in the fourth quarter.
That's so rough.
The Knicks and the Heat are having a close battle in the third quarter. The Knicks are down by 4, 45-49. The Timberwolves versus the Raptors in the third quarter. The Raptors are up 61-55. In the second quarter, about to head towards halftime with 6 minutes left to go. The Jazz are down by 1 against your Houston Rockets, 34-33. The Bulls and the Hornets are having another close battle. In the second quarter, about 4 minutes to go. The Bulls are up 48-42. And the Pacers and the Spurs are tied at 17, heading towards the end of the first quarter.
Fantastic.
Let's talk about my Knicks. So,
let's talk about
Kevin Knox tweaked his ankle, and I really hope he has a speedy recovery. Our point guard needs to be traded.
Which one?
Frank.
Oh, wow. He's not really a point guard anymore. He's a small forward listed here.
Really?
Yeah, they got him listed as small forward now.
That's hilarious. No, they still got him. I mean, I guess it depends on the website. It depends on the website.
No, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, he does start. I think at small forward. I think that's what we went through when we first went through the Knicks. I think it was him, Cantor, Lance Thomas, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Trey Burke.
Yeah.
So theoretically, and Hezonja, I think, and maybe it wasn't.
Hezonja, yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah,
Hezonja.
I don't remember.
But the first,
the role.
I think they need to do something. I enjoy his defensive intensity. His offensive efficiency had a real steep drop, like something ridiculous. I believe the last game he played so many minutes, but like he was like terrible from the floor. Tim Hardaway Jr. Oh my God. This was the player. This was the player that should have stayed with the Knicks before they traded him.
Right.
And I was very vocal about that one too. But he got the green light to do what he needs to do. I'm enjoying what he does. Ron Baker potentially might be part of that trade as well too.
Oh God.
Alonzo Trier is going to be that dude for the Knicks. I love the fact that he is putting out a hit on every single team because he wants to dunk on them. I love it. He's going to be part of that energy. Mitchell Robinson, he's gonna be that dude for the Knicks.
You like Mitchell Robinson? Yep.
Mitch Robinson, he's doing some stuff. I enjoy what he's doing. He definitely needs to keep it up. I think he definitely needs a little bit more minutes. But Ernest Cantor, I mean, I said I wanted him with the Knicks. This is why. He really enjoyed playing there. He's balling out. Ernest Cantor's I think he's on pace for career numbers right now.
Well, sure. I mean,
he's on pace to have career numbers right now.
Because he played with Westbrook, in the beginning part of his career, so I guess that makes sense. I guess. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that one be then, because we all know what I'm about to say at that point. Like,
yeah. But you think
the first game, I really enjoyed the defensive intensity. I feel like it waned off slightly, and we'll just need to recover from that. But I mean, like I said, don't be surprised if they end up making it not out of the East, but making it into the playoffs as a low seed. We just need some consistency. That's all it really is. Like offensive consistency and defensive consistency. Yeah, pretty much what it goes right there. Fizdale is doing a great job of coaching them. One game in particular, I believe it was against the Nets. I think it was against the Nets. But after Kevin Knox hit a 3-pointer to basically bring the game down to 1, where you would think that the coach would be like, "Yeah, that was a great shot. Keep going, keep going." Dave Fizdale was coaching him because he blown a coverage assignment. Like, that's what we want. We want the players to always get teached.
Absolutely.
But I like what I see so far. Once again, it's still early on in the season, so I'm not gonna say playoff or bust. Like, I'm enjoying what I see so far, though.
But Frank has to go.
Frank might have to go. He might draw the short straw right there.
Gotcha.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's just the way it is.
All right, so I mean, sounds like we're at end game.
We are at end game, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you are enjoying the show so far. I didn't even tell the doc this, but we have something new that's going on right now. As the show was going along, as you noticed on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you see our brand new social alert, and right there will show us how you can reach out to us on every single social platform, from Facebook to Twitter, Instagram, our Twitch account whenever we start getting into Twitch again, and etc. So instead of us talking about all those, you can just view it on the screen.
Fantastic. That's boss move.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe you said that. We are at Endgame, and every single week, Doc and Prof, we offer our final thoughts for the week for you to think about and give you something deeper to talk to your friends about. And I'm leave it to the Doc to talk about his. Doc, take it away.
So it kind of stinks here. Couple quick ones. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell still hasn't reported to the Steelers, even though they claimed that he would be there by week 7, but clearly he's not. So I'm interested to see what they do here. Obviously, the trade deadline is like here.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you do right now? Like, do Do you roll with it or do you trade him? I would expect it to go to the very last day. Some interesting reports, and I didn't know if this was, and I think I even when you share this, I think I even put a little meme, and I think put a little GIF. I made some comments about salt, saltiness, saltines, salty pretzels, just a lot of salt. But there was apparently a couple weeks ago, Zion Williamson for the Duke Blue Devils. They were coming out saying that he wanted cash and jobs for people. Of course, they're still doing an investigation for that, but I thought that was kind of ridiculous. I felt like haters going to hate, and they were just salty because he chose to be a Blue Devil. A big loss, I think, to the NFL as Jamal Charles was released by the Jaguars, which is interesting because
he was just signed by the Jaguars too.
Right, and now he's potentially talking about retiring. Even though I'm sure there's at least one or two teams, Panthers, Bucks, a few teams that could use him. The Eagles clearly could use his services. But he's potentially thinking about retiring at 31, which is understandable. But hopefully he doesn't. I think this is another one of those situations where a certain team, potentially from Texas, either team from Texas, might be able to use him. I know the Texans have Lamar Miller, which I love because he's on my fantasy team. Mm-hmm. But, they could use a 1-2 punch. And obviously the Cowboys behind Zeke, I know they have some young guys, but having somebody like Jamal Charles might be worth their investment. Last but not least, being that it's October, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it because a certain gentleman is just... Because
October, even though it's here, it seems so far away?
All the time. The Boston Red Sox and the LA Dodgers are in the World Series, which this World Series this year doesn't seem as big. Like usually it's a spectacle.
And you're talking about two-story franchises too. That's the part that's funny.
I feel like they're treating this like a regular game, but the Red Sox won Game 1, 8-4. And right now they're playing, and it's it says mid-third, but I guess they're about to switch to the bottom of the third. And the Red Sox are winning 1-0, which, as a big Poppy fan, I've always kind of followed the Red Sox, but I've never designated a baseball team. I think I did like the Indians when I was younger because of, Manny Ramirez, you had Kenny Lofton, you had a whole bunch of ballers. But The only reason I know about the Red Sox is because of Big Papi, and that's really it. Who they also had Manny Ramirez. So it looks to be a good series. Hopefully it ends well.
I think it's going to get better as the series progresses.
Yeah, because right now it's 1-0. So
yeah, and baseball runs pretty slow too. So you just gotta wait it out a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. That was some pretty good final thoughts. The first one is Doc Prof, and everyone here at Business Amongst Friends want to send our condolences and well wishes to the family of Paul Allen, who was the co-founder of Microsoft and the owner of both the Seattle Seahawks and the Portland Trail Blazers, who died on Monday at the age of 65 due to complications of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yes, rest in peace.
Yes. Wanted to start off with that. The second one is, even though it's not November and certain Marks isn't returning, we also want to send our well wishes out to the Anoy family because Joe Anoy, aka Roman Reigns, is stepping away from the world of wrestling due to a diagnosis of his leukemia. He's been diagnosed with leukemia 11 years ago, and it actually came back in recession. So he actually was the WWE Universal Championship after defeating Brock Lesnar, and he had to give up the title. He was in the ring as within the first segment for WWE Raw this past week, wearing street clothes, where he announced that he had leukemia and he had to step away. He said that he is trying to fight to make it back to the ring, but we, Doc and Prof, we want to send our well wishes out to him and his family. So take care of yourself, Joe, and give him hell.
And to be honest, it kind of had that Shawn Michaels relinquishing the title back in the day kind of feel. Less tears, of course. I don't know if you remember.
I remember. Yeah, because they played the "Tell Me a Lie" song. Yeah,
right.
Because that was the same event that Dean Douglas got the title and then immediately dropped it to Razor Ramon. I remember that.
Right. But in this situation, it is sad, and although most people will say, they're not a Roman Reigns fan, they're a Joe fan now. We're
going to leave that part from Arcade Out amongst friends, because that by itself, in his own conversation, like even potentially a crossover with Duke It Out, because I'm pretty sure that Duke has a lot to say about the dynamics of sheeps versus leaders, but that's besides.
And marking out to become back. That's next month.
That is next month. But that was definitely something that was really big and something for everyone to think about. Is we're all humans at the end of the day. So I mean, stuff happens to us. Like at the end of the day, whether we like each other or we don't like each other, like we're all human, and we have to respect each other's humanities.
Mm-hmm.
And the last final thought was something that I put out on the Debate Amongst Friends group page. And I didn't get a chance to look at this, but this was pretty cool. But the Minnesota Timberwolves will be having some custom jerseys that they'll be wearing in tribute to Prince. And I'll tell you right now, those jerseys look pretty fire. In fact, I'm not a Timberwolves fan, but I think I might need to get that jersey. It looks that cool. But give yourself a chance to look at it, sir. Check it out. Like, it is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Okay. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are at Endgame. Tonight's track is from Ari Plus. We played them before, actually. It's from their album Everlasting Truth, released in 2010. The name of the track is Time Goes By, featuring Hydrophonics and Anika. Make sure you check it out. We put all the links out there in the YouTube link. Make sure you show some love to the artists that we play. Both the outro and the intro. Croup Dog, always respect everything you do for us, giving us the most electrifying intro track in all of podcasting. And make sure you check out the Beta Bucks Friends every single Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch us on all of our social media links, and you can listen to us offline on SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, and any and all podcast devices on your Android and iOS devices. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. I am the Professor John Gotti.
And this is the podcast beast, Doc Lesnar.
And we'll catch you again next time, folks. Goodbye. Mwah. And good night. Bang.
Taste the ocean.
Yeah. Yo. Rest in peace, Grandmaster Rock Raider. Grandmaster Rock Raider, Jay Dilla, Batan, we miss you. Yo, right as block, sick of gripping on his damn pencil, messing with this man's mental. I need to take a break. I got simple symptoms of a man gentle, stressing cause my fan miss you. I need to see your face on the Grand Central Navigation, telling me to drive slow, thinking about all the places I roam and people in my home. I wanna know why they come and go, why I'm getting all these thoughts, the piano and the drum evoke. I'm reminded of the first time we spoke, how you loved the first rhyme I wrote, except the curses, but you loved the jokes. How you told me nice I wasn't acting right, never letting me take some bad advice. We had a fight, but it's like your life was meant for you to be my mentor and my guardian. These feelings that I never wanna enter in my heart again are seeping in. I'm thinking I'm alive, but I'm cold. I imagine you're my passenger, reminisce on the road back in time. way, I'm asking why weren't you able to stay? Days are only kinda better, so I'm writing you this letter full of things I never got to say. First and foremost, I love you and it never changes. When you left, I couldn't gauge it. The pain was outrageous, but now it's kinda strange. You helped me get through the days just by thinking of your face and reminiscing through the pages. Everything I wrote and that I'm saying on them stages, I'm passionate, I hear you laugh again. The little traces of your smile flicker through my closed eyes, wishing I could nosedive in your heart's ocean and just float by. Who knows why I feel the way that I do? I've got more to say, but I think that I'll just save it for you. For that first day we meet again, the stories will be told. We'll be driving through our lives and reminisce on the road back through time. On his damn pencil, messing with this man's mental. I need to take a break. I got simple symptoms of a man gentle, stressing cause my fam